Boom. Okay. Here we are. Whoa. Welcome to Traumatized Earth. It's a weird place to be welcomed to. I got my coffee. You know who? Violins. Do you know the show? Comment. Oh my god. Well, it's early in the morning. I really wanted to do a video like for the last few days when I was in the zone and I could get nothing to work, and I got all this together, and now I'm not in the zone at all, and I still really want to do a video. Most importantly because it's the first video, and look, I got an intro. You know, look at this. I built that with AI. Not easy, not hard. Like, I was like, that wasn't easy. But then I was like, wait a second. I could have never have done that. It took me less than half a day, maybe $40. Subscription BS, and you gotta find the right one, and that takes a while. But anyway, boom. Got that there. I learned this OBS studio, which is like an open source studio for what I'm doing right now. And it's not particularly easy, but for people that have half a clue, I think it's very easy. I've only spent so many days, getting it all together. And I guess all in all, I mean, here we are. So that's why I'm exhausted. I literally just woke up and I didn't sleep at all last night, for whatever reason. And I have to go to work soon. I should be at work right now, but I really wanted to do this. So thank you for being here. I recorded myself a few times, and as I'm sitting here listening to myself, I'm like, this is not working. And then I rewatch it and I go, it's not that bad. It's not great. It's not that bad. So right now I'm fighting the anxiety to cut this off, thinking that it's horrible. And I rewatch it and I go, it's passable. It'll pass. And it's your first video. Who's going to watch it anyway? Okay, so the point of the channel and the thesis is as follows. The intense polarization and destructive conflict we see in society is not driven solely by external issues. I think we can all agree that this is happening. There's polarization and destructive conflict in society. I mean, I don't know if you've been paying attention. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe nobody watches the news. Maybe like day-to-day occurrences, like it's not like that at all, and it's like a social media thing, or it's a political thing, and it's not your lived experience. But I think objectively you can say it's not like it used to be before 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Certainly not for me. But is significantly fueled by unconscious projection of unresolved childhood trauma and unintegrated shadow material. So that's the thesis of this, is that what we're observing isn't legitimate social issues, although that's exactly the case. There are legitimate things, but the fuel that's behind it is not legitimate. The fuel behind it is shadow, is something personal being brought into the social, something deeply, uniquely personal, like something that is only shared by you. The feeling could be universal: frustration, shame, anger, a sense of injustice. That could be universally felt, but the reason why it's so passionate within you is deeply personal. And the idea is, if that were to be looked at, resolved, dealt with, explored, the fuel would just completely evaporate. In fact, I question whether people would even show up to some of these things because they'd just be doing other things. It wouldn't be on the radar. And the reason that it is on the radar is almost exclusively to draw this unresolved, unintegrated shadow material up to the surface, to be looked at, to be purged, and to be dealt with, to be healed. And I think after that, the person literally questions the reason why they were there in the first place. They're doing other things. Okay, Onyx, give me a sec. She hasn't been getting the attention she wants. She likes to play. I wake up, go to work, come home, go to sleep, repeat. And this cat is actually very playful, kind of a higher energy cat. And she's just not getting what she needs, but so she's acting out. Okay. Premise. While the political and social issues we fight over are genuinely important, many people are unconsciously using these battles to discharge deep personal wounds from childhood, because looking inward feels like an attack on both their identity and their cause. Granted, they remain trapped in cycles of outrage and conflict. True progress requires enough individuals to become aware of this internal spell and choose to heal their core wounds so they can engage society from a place of clarity rather than unconscious pain. An injustice is always an injustice. How we approach it can be fueled by personal motivations that are not a part of the actual injustice act. God, she sheds like unreal. Many of us are deeply aware that the issues we face in society today are very real. The heated debates around COVID policies, Black Lives Matter, Christian rights, gay rights, abortion and unborn child rights, capitalism, and the rights of billionaires. These conflicts reflect genuine problems and difficult trade-offs. However, I would like to invite you to consider something that may at first feel uncomfortable. What if some of the intense emotional charge we bring to these issues is not coming entirely from the issues themselves? What if we are, in a very real sense, under a kind of spell, gripped by motivations that originate from deep within us? Let me walk you through this idea step by step. First, childhood core wounds form early in life. Every child needs safety, love, validation, and a sense of control. When these needs are disrupted, whether through neglect, criticism, emotional unavailability, or in some cases growing up without a father, deep emotional injuries take root, or a mother. These wounds create core beliefs such as, I'm not worthy, the world is unsafe, or I must dominate to be dominated. To be dominated. What? Or be dominated. This part I could have used a little more proofreading. It's just basically showing that things morph So like a wound can start off in a certain particular kind of way and then morph into something entirely different 40 years later. But it's a negative self-belief about myself or the world from something way down the road, further in life, earlier in life. As adults, we repress the painful parts of ourselves, our rage, shame, vulnerability, and feelings of weakness into what Carl Jung called the shadow. These repressed parts do not disappear. They express themselves through projection. We unconsciously attribute our unwanted feelings to other people and entire groups. This is why political conversations become so toxic. We are no longer simply debating policy. We are projecting our personal wounds onto movements and ideologies. One person's fight for justice becomes another person's existential threat. Here lies the central difficulty when someone suggests that our intensity might be influenced by internal trauma. The nervous system interprets this as a personal attack. The mind quickly translates, you might be projecting into your cause is invalid and you are the bad guy. This defensive reaction keeps people locked in the cycle. So this is kind of the crux of it right there, where undoubtedly this is the case. And by simply bringing this up, particularly in real time, like you could never bring this up in the heat of the moment. You would, I don't know if you've been watching the news, you would be attacked in some form. If you are unlucky enough to be somewhere that's not recorded, or there's a police presence, or maybe some surveillance, you're in a lot of trouble physically. You will definitely be assaulted, or worse. The people, if you were to bring stuff like this up in the heat of the moment, they're not driving the bus. Their traumatized child is driving the bus. And this is why, a judge would have to recuse themselves from a trial. You're not allowed to sit as arbiter when you're traumatized. There are many things in life you're not allowed to do when you're traumatized. Be a police officer, be a judge, obviously, maybe a lawyer, a juror. I would wish to say a politician, but that's not true. A teacher, but that's not true. If you get caught in your trauma and people are objective enough, they would say, hey, even if they agree with you, they'd be like, and that's getting less and less, right? Like we're being called out less and less, like, hey, this is deeply personal to you. Like, are you sure you're okay to be doing this? That's not happening. People using their cars as battering rams, whether it's for or against. So anyway, this is a real thing. This is happening. It has a lot of negative energy attached to it. It's not productive. I think it's good for informing policy, but it should not be proactively on the front line of policy. It's not clean. It's fueled by something that's not a part of the conversation, and it muddies and really hampers progress. And the other thing too is, honestly, like if the people get attention to this shadow self and they do some healing or work, however you want to describe it, they won't be there. They'll literally be doing something else. You would say, hey, what's up with that? They go, oh, yeah, well, I was beaten as a kid. That had something to do with it. And now that I've kind of looked at it, yeah, no, I'm going to the park and hanging out and flying kites with my friends and drinking having a couple of seltzers. I'm not. Yeah, no, I got other things to do. Like that was fueled by something else. I'm living my life now. And the thing is like, if we all did enough of this, there wouldn't be a need to be at a protest or a counter protest, because the whole thing would dissolve. Like, the injustice, the thing that we're there for, would be like, if we're all doing this, because it's all coming from the same source. And so it's just one after another. We have to all process this. The mind quickly translates, you might be projecting into your causes invalid and you are the bad guy. This defense reaction keeps people locked in the cycle. So why would anyone choose to break free from this pattern? The motivations are usually deeply personal. Some people reach a point of exhaustion. They grow tired of carrying the constant anger. Others recognize that something important is missing in their life: inner strength, solid boundaries, and the ability to say no in a healthy way. They want to express a righteous anger cleanly without being driven by old wounds. So basically it's saying is like, how do any of us ever get to the point where we're going to look at this? And from what I can tell, some people are already kind of there. They just never had the invitation. They're already done. They already know something's missing, that something's not right, that they could be more, should be more. I attend a men's group, and when I was invited, it was presented to me as like a slight challenge, like it wouldn't be easy, but also, I don't know, it was presented to me by very caring men, and I immediately was like, when and where? I wanted to be a man in front of like men. I wanted to be like, what do you guys got? Like, what do you think you got that I can't handle? And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the first meeting because it was very amateur, very serious, no less powerful. And I was brand new, and these guys were inviting a brand new person. They don't get a lot of brand new people, So it was also their time to shine, which I didn't really realize, but looking back at it and watching their behavior, I know the excitement and the feeling that they had of this opportunity to present this stuff to a new person. And so it was special. It's a special moment when somebody sees this as the next step in their personality and how they present themselves in the world, to take this seriously and to look into it as a real thing that you want clarity on. It's a special moment in that person's life, and for the people who are with them too, going through with it, because I don't think there's any like, once you see something relevant, I don't think you go back, because I think you see how blind you were and how important this is for moving forward, that you can't possibly go back. Because it's a form of addiction too. It's like a type of addiction, and to be so easily free of a negative addiction at such a low cost, unlike a chemical addiction, let's say, although it is very similar in a lot of ways. I think somebody who's truly wants to be a better person, you just can't go back. Many also realize that society filled with people acting from their own unhealed trauma rarely reinforces truly healthy choices. This creates a powerful desire for an internal compass, a higher universal truth that one can trust even when the crowd or society disagrees. is it doing that? When someone finally does the inner work and begins healing these childhood wounds, the result is genuinely liberating. They gain a strength and clarity they always wanted. They develop the ability to hold nuance, set healthy boundaries, and pursue real solutions instead of just expressing pain through endless conflict. This brings us back to the central point. While the internal issues we care about are very real, many of us are unknowingly gripped by an internal spell. Our rage and righteousness are often amplified by old wounds that have never been faced. The question isn't whether the problem in the world are legitimate. The deeper question is how much of our internal intensity is actually coming from unhealed pain within us. Are we willing to examine that? Not because it weakens our conviction, but because it might finally make us truly solid, grounded, and effective. That's what I've been contemplating. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts. So, yeah, I mean, that's the gist of the show. Thank you for listening. I've done that intro. I've recorded that intro probably 15 times. Some longer and I think much better produced. And my commentary over it, my reading of it, the interpretation of it have been way better. But for the sake of putting out a first video and so I can go to work today, that's that. Thank you.